Alright, hello and welcome to Video Tours for Tots. My name is Mr. Dillon, if I haven't met you. And this week, we're going to be studying something very interesting at the Museum of the Rockies. There's a clue somewhere here in my screen. I wonder if you can think of what it is. It's not flowers, we did that last week. Yes, the clue is this T-Rex poster right here, because this week we're talking about dinosaurs hunted on two legs. I call them the two-legged hunter dinosaur family, but there's a science name for them too. Now listen, I'm going to say it. Theropods. Can you say it? Theropods. One more time. Theropods. So T-Rex was a theropod. What else is a theropod? I'm going to pull up my dinosaur toy collection right here. And look, I've got all these dinosaur toys. Take a look at them all. And not all of these are theropods. Not all of them are a two-legged hunter family. As a matter of fact, not all of them are even dinosaurs. Let's go ahead and let's take a look in at some of these other animals. So here we are looking at some not dinosaur toys. And we'll just take them kind of by turn. First you got Leopleurodon on there, one of those swimming plesiosaurs. And he's a plesiosaur, not a dinosaur. Plesiosaurs live under the ocean. Real dinosaurs live on land. They have legs, not flippers. Then you got a crocodile. He's a reptile just like dinosaurs were, but his legs are off to the side of his body, not directly underneath. So he's not a dinosaur. Woolly mammoth, well, his legs are under his body, but he's a mammal. He's got fur. He's not a dinosaur. And then looks like we've got Dimetrodon. He's another kind of pretty scary reptile, very dinosaur looking. A lot of dinosaur toy sets have a Dimetrodon in them, but he lived before the time of the dinosaurs. And his legs are off to the side of his body, not as much as a crocodile, but a little bit. And then the last one there, we've got a pterosaur, one of the flying reptiles. And so he's not a dinosaur because he doesn't live on land. There's some other differences with their like skull structures and stuff too, but he's not actually a dinosaur either. So none of these are dinosaurs. And what else is that there? Is that a space monkey? I think that's a space monkey and a garden gnome. Well, that's just silly. They're not dinosaurs either. Let's take a look again at my dinosaur toys. And now let's get rid of the ones that are not dinosaurs. So take a look and see if you can find something whose legs are off to the side, or who's a mammal and is covered in hair, or swims with flippers, or is a pterosaur, one of the flying type of reptiles. Okay, now look. When you find one of those, let's make them disappear in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Now all that's left are the dinosaurs. Now I've got all these different kinds of dinosaurs, and I said we were looking at one family, one group of them. Let's talk about what are the 5 different dinosaur families. First up, the two-legged hunter family. They're the dinosaurs with sharp teeth, and they walk around on 2 legs and sharp claws. They're the ones we're going to be learning about more today. Then you've also got long necks, who are the giant plant eaters with long necks. The hornheads, which is Triceratops and his friends that are similar to him. Any animal that's got a frill and horns over his head. And then we've got duckbill type dinosaurs. They were another kind of plant eater, lived in big herds. And then last we've got the armored dinosaurs, ones that are very, they have bony plates all over their body for protection, usually against the theropods, the two-legged hunter dinosaurs. Okay, so now I'm going to show you the 5 dinosaur family dance. And what the 5 dinosaur family dance does is it helps you remember what the 5 dinosaur families are. So I'm going to do the dance, and then I'm going to have you do the actions of the dance with me. And then you're going to be able to say the 5 dinosaur families and do the dance with me at the same time. Sound good? Okay, so here I go. 2 legs, long necks, hornheads, duckbills, and armor. Okay, now, so go ahead and stand up if you want to, and I'll have you help me out with the 5 dinosaur family dance. You can do the actions with me this time too. Ready? two legs, long necks, horn heads, duck bills, and armor. Nice. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm going to have you say the words along with me too. Here we go. Two legs, long necks, horn heads, duck bills, and armor. Awesome. Good job. Thanks for doing the 5 dinosaur family dance with me. So, we've got the 2 legs, long necks, horn heads, duck bills, and armored dinosaurs, but their scientific names are theropods, sauropods, marginocephalians, hadrosaurs or ornithopods, and the thyreophores. Wow, that is pretty complicated. Let's listen to those again. Theropods, sauropods, marginocephalians, ornithopods, and thyreophores. Those are the scientific names, but we're just going to learn about the theropod family today, the 2-legged hunter-type dinosaurs. So here they are. And in your theropod family of dinosaurs, all the different 2-legged kind, there's a lot of different kinds of dinosaurs. And your basic types are your T-Rex types, your Allosaur types, your Raptor types, and then your feathered dinosaurs. And we're going to talk about each of those. So now we're going to pretend that we're walking through the Museum of the Rockies, and let's go ahead and let's take a look at the first theropod you can see in the Museum of the Rockies, and that is going to be Allosaurus. And our Allosaurus is actually really pretty special. We nicknamed him Big Al because he was a pretty complete skeleton of an Allosaurus. And you don't always find a complete skeleton when you find an animal, but Big Al here was a pretty complete Allosaurus. And so that's kind of what Allosaurus looks like. We think Allosaurus might have been one that would attack the long necks dinosaurs and eat them. And Allosaurus is really pretty cool. He's got very thin teeth that work more like knives, and just keep that in mind because we're going to look at another dinosaur later that doesn't have very thin teeth like a knife, but has very thick teeth. Another thing that happened to Big Al when we found him, it was discovered that he was really beat up. He had broken a lot of bones in his body, so something had happened to this dinosaur. And if you break a bone, you'll go to a doctor, you'll get a cast put on, and what a cast does is it is actually helping your body heal that broken bone. So after a couple of weeks, your body has healed that bone itself with the cast, and then you can take the cast off and your arm looks perfectly normal, like nothing had ever been broken before. So what happened with Big Al is he doesn't have a doctor to go to. So when he broke a rib, because maybe he was fighting with another dinosaur, and his body healed the rib, but he couldn't put a cast on it. So his rib winds up with extra kind of a lump of bone on it where his body had tried to put it back together. And it's not just his ribs. He's also got some broken vertebrae, and they've got some weird growth on them. And then his toe has got a really big bony mass on it from where he'd broken his toe. And I bet it's really hard to heal a broken toe without a cast because you're always walking on that toe. That's another reason why Big Al was an important dinosaur, was because he'd been beaten up a lot. Poor guy. And now we come to the Deinonychus in our museum. And Deinonychus is one of my favorite dinosaurs. One of the most important dinosaurs ever discovered. Before scientists discovered Deinonychus and really figured out much about him, like back in your grandpa's time or your great-grandpa's time, most scientists thought dinosaurs were slow and acted maybe more like crocodiles, or they would be ambush predators, kind of lazy, waiting for their prey to walk by and then ambushing them. And probably some dinosaurs did hunt like that, but when they discovered Deinonychus, they realized, wow, this is a different kind of animal. He's got his tail that has stiffened tendons in his tail, and that seems to indicate his tail would stick out like a counterbalance. And he's also got really big, sharp claws. The whole raptor family is known for this big toe claw on his lower foot there. And that would be pretty scary if you were an animal back in those days. They realized that this was something different. This dinosaur probably wasn't slow. He was probably fast because he's got that stiffened tail. And he might have even been warm-blooded, not cold-blooded and slow like an alligator or a crocodile, but something fast that moves around. And then we've also found out that he might have had feathers on his body too. When we looked at his bones under a microscope, we saw some structures that looked kind of like same structures that other feathered animals have. And that animal he's eating, Deinonychus, he's actually kind of important too. And when they found Deinonychus in the ground, he had a lot of Deinonychus teeth laying around the dead body. And that's not such a big deal. Dinosaurs actually lost a lot of teeth during their life. They probably lost every tooth they had about once a year. But what they realized around this particular Deinonychus is there were too many teeth to come from one animal. So then the idea came that, well, probably whatever animal hunted this Deinonychus hunted in packs because there were so many teeth, broken teeth laying around it. And then they figured out those were Deinonychus teeth. So that's another important discovery for Deinonychus. Deinonychus is a really cool dinosaur. So next we'll move along in the museum. And the next dinosaur theropod that we come to is called Saurornitholestes. And if you're not looking for him, you might miss him because he's just a little guy. And he is looking at that big toe on his foot there. Guess what? And you can even see his stiffened tail vertebrae there too. He is also one of the raptor type dinosaurs. Now some people have heard of Velociraptor. And so Saurornitholestes is about 2 feet tall. And that's about the size real Velociraptor is too. Real Velociraptor came from China and Mongolia. And he was only about 2 feet tall. Deinonychus was probably about 4 feet tall. And then when I was a kid, I went to another museum, and they had another raptor called Utah Raptor. And Utah Raptor was like 8 feet tall. That is a really big, really scary type of raptor. So compare an 8 foot tall Utah Raptor to a 2 foot tall Saurornitholestes here. And I just think it's really cool that raptors came in all different sizes. Next, the Saurornitholestes in our museum, we've got this dinosaur. And you might be thinking to yourself, I wonder, what does that look like to you? Does that look like a dinosaur that you know? You might have said T-Rex, but that's not a T-Rex. That is called Daspletosaurus. And Daspletosaurus lived a couple million years before T-Rex, and he's just a little bit smaller than T-Rex. But other than that, Daspletosaurus is pretty similar to T-Rex. He just lived a little bit before and was a little bit smaller. And then that gets us to, yes, T-Rex. One of our favorite dinosaurs at the Museum of the Rockies. And one of almost everyone's favorites. So this T-Rex we have on display here at the Museum of the Rockies is nicknamed Pex-Rex. And he was found near a city called Fort Peck, near a lake called Fort Peck, here in Montana. And so his nickname was Pex-Rex for Fort Peck, where near where he was found. And most T-Rexes have nicknames. We don't find very many T-Rexes, so when you find one, it gets a nickname. Some animals, you find so many of them, you just can't make a nickname for every of those dinosaurs you find. But for T-Rex, we got a lot of nicknames for him. So this one was nicknamed Pex-Rex. And then there was another one nicknamed the Wankel-Rex. So we sent the Wankel T-Rex to be the nation's T-Rex at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. And then the Pex-Rex, we changed its nickname to Montana's T-Rex and put him on display here. So, the other thing I wanted to mention was about nicknames about T-Rexes, because we found a few T-Rexes, and I had mentioned a couple nicknames earlier, and we've actually put some on display in order from smallest to largest. So we start with a small T-Rex, and then it's kind of a growth series to see what changes in a T-Rex during its life to when it gets largest. So, our smallest one is nicknamed Chomper, which is pretty cool, and he was actually one of the first T-Rex skulls to be 3D printed, kind of a cool new technology. And then the next size was Jane, and after Jane was a T-Rex called B-Rex, and we nicknamed him B-Rex because a paleontologist named Bob Harmon found him. So B-Rex stands for Bob's T-Rex. And then after B-Rex in our lineup, we've got Pex Rex, which we were already talking about, whose new nickname is Montana's T-Rex. And after Montana's T-Rex, we've got the Winkle T-Rex again. And the Winkle T-Rex also has a couple other nicknames. We call him MOR555, which is our fossil number for him. We've called him the Winkle T-Rex for the family that discovered the Winkle T-Rex. And then we've also made a statue of the Winkle T-Rex out front of our museum, and we call it Big Mike. And now that the real bones are in Washington, D.C., they're going to call it the nation's T-Rex too. And the last T-Rex skull that we have on display is one of the largest T-Rex skulls that's ever been found. And it's nicknamed the Custer T-Rex. And what's really cool about the Custer T-Rex is it's one of the biggest T-Rex skulls that's ever been found, but they never found the rest of the body of the T-Rex. So we don't really know if it was the biggest T-Rex ever, or if he just had a really big head. Remember when we were talking about Big Al earlier, our Allosaurus? I wanted you to remember about his teeth. And I really wanted to compare the Allosaurus's teeth to a T-Rex's tooth. Because they're kind of different, even though the animals are pretty similar in a lot of ways. They're very large theropods. They're very big, scary meat eaters, essentially. But their teeth are pretty different. An Allosaurus has very thin, very sharp, and very short teeth, whereas a T-Rex has very big, very round, very large teeth. An Allosaurus tooth is more like a paring knife, and a T-Rex tooth is a lot more like a banana, or it's banana-sized anyways. That's a little bit of a difference, and it could be that Allosaurus used his small, sharp teeth. He opened his mouth wide, and then would cut whatever animal he was eating on. And T-Rex uses big banana-sized teeth more to crush the bones and get at the meat inside the animal that way, with his big banana-shaped teeth instead of his small, sharp, knife-sized teeth. Okay, so that's all for our tour of the Museum of the Rockies Theropods. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a finger puppet of a Deinonychus. The craft for today is a Deinonychus finger puppet, or two of them if you want to. So the first thing you'll need is the printout. That'll be on our website for download. We'll include a link in the description. So get that printed out. And then you also need a pair of scissors and then coloring utensils of your choice. So I've got these colored pencils. You can use crayons, markers, whatever you want to. And the first thing to do is you're going to have to color it, whatever color you want to. We don't really know what color they were, and that's always Mr. Dillon's rules, is that you can always color it any way you want to. Okay, now that you got him colored, now it's time to cut it out. Easy enough. And then the next thing to do is to cut the finger holes. And at the museum, I've got big hole punches that can just pop those holes. But here, we're gonna have to cut them out. There, then it's almost done. Other things you can do, you can add some googly eyes or eyeball stickers if you have them. And then what I like to do at the museum too is I kind of like to put some feathers on his back. If you have some craft feathers at home, make them look kind of like our Deinonychus on display. But other than that, he's done. Okay, our story for this week is just a short one. If the Dinosaurs Came Back by Bernard Most. For Eric and especially for Glenn, who wished the dinosaurs would come back. I like dinosaurs. I think about them all the time. I read about them. I talk about them. Oh, how I wish the dinosaurs would come back. There he is, dreaming about his dinosaurs. If the dinosaurs came back, they could carry people to work and back. If the dinosaurs came back, we wouldn't need any more lawnmowers. And if the dinosaurs came back, house painters wouldn't need any more ladders. If the dinosaurs came back, they would scare away robbers. This is Dimetrodon. Remember, he is not actually a dinosaur. He is a synapsid reptile. If the dinosaurs came back, they would make it easy for farmers to plow their fields. And if the dinosaurs came back, they could help lumberjacks chop down trees. If the dinosaurs came back, they could help firefighters put out fires. And if the dinosaurs came back, they could help build big skyscrapers. If the dinosaurs came back, they would make great ski slopes. If plesiosaurs came back, they could take swimmers on rides at the beach. Remember, plesiosaurs are not actually dinosaurs. They are swimming reptiles. And if the dinosaurs came back, they could rescue kites stuck in very tall trees. And if the dinosaurs came back, mountain climbers would have new mountains to climb. If the dinosaurs came back, they could be a big help at the circus. And if the dinosaurs came back, they could help librarians get books from the top shelf. If the dinosaurs came back, dentists would have plenty of teeth to work on. If the dinosaurs came back, giraffes would have someone to look up to. And if the dinosaurs came back, they could push away the rain clouds so the sun would always shine. But best of all, if the dinosaurs came back, they would make great pets for people who love dinosaurs. The end. All right, and thank you, and that's all we have for Tours for Tots today. So in 2 weeks, we're going to do Towers and Bridges. And until then, I'll see you next time.